Hello, Joachim, and hello, Renate.
Hello.
I'm so happy to see you.
Hi, thank you for doing this. Where in the world are you? What are you doing?
Well, I am in Paris. I'm in my dressing room right now, and I'm about to perform the Cherry Orchard in about an hour and a half. So I'm just getting ready, and I'm so happy to have this conversation with you.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy you're doing this. We met briefly before you'd seen the film again in Paris, and you were very generous and gave me a phone call when you'd seen the film. So I'm so happy you want to talk to us about it. And Renate, I know you and I have talked about Isabelle for a long time because, yeah, well, you can tell her. You're a big fan of hers, aren't you?
Yes, I'm your biggest fan, Isabelle. No, I have like my biggest inspiration for acting has always been you, and I'm so happy to meet you here. And we met in Paris a few months ago. I don't know if you remember, for this fashion show thing, and I was very happy to talk to you then too. And also you came to see a Robert Wilson play that I was in. Do you remember?
Of course I remember, and I was going to mention it. This was the first time I saw you on stage, and I was with Joachim watching this play directed by Robert Wilson, and that was my first artistic encounter with you.
Yeah, I remember you came up to me and you said that I was very good, and I thought, okay, I don't have to act anymore. I can give up, because now this is my biggest experience in acting so far. That you said that. It was,
I can repeat what I told you this day. You are so good in that film.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Really.
And we should also probably, Isabelle, reveal to those who might not know that we had a wonderful collaboration on Louder Than Bombs a few years ago. Yeah, where we got to know each other well, and I'll always be grateful. I felt that you taught me a lot of things. And I remember one thing that I took away from our collaboration that maybe we could talk about a little bit is you said to me always that you felt that actors, performers, there should always be something of secrecy. It needs to be emotional and involved, but there's also a little bit of distance and secrecy to bring the audience into a space where they need to interpret. And I think in a way that's been something that I thought a lot about also in working on this film with Renate, is that we are hidden to ourselves when we are existing in the world as people, and the little space of the unknown in a performance is also what brings the truth, that there could be a sense of chaos, even though you have a big plan and you have a lot of intention, that there's a sense of something absent or something unknown. And I think this is one of the things that you have really taught me. Do you want to say anything about that? And Renate as well.
Oh, yes. I have much to say about that. Yes, I think that movie making is, by essence, the art of the invisible in a way. You get people to watch you and to see things, but you also get them to feel something that sometimes that they are not even aware of, but it's more like a sensation. And I think that's what makes the great films and the great acting also, when you have something that you can't really define, but it's just a feeling. And this is obviously what Renate delivers in that performance. There is energy, there is something extraordinarily vivacious in her performance, something extraordinarily alive, but there is also, well, that's part of course, of the subject of the film, a melancholy, something that you can't really define, but more than define, you can feel it. And I think that's really the sign of a great performance and of a great film also. And of course, in your film, this is the subject of the film, because it's so much about, the movies for me is so much existential in a way. It's really about what makes you your existence worthwhile. And and how you seek the best for your life. And this is why, and it's very difficult to do this kind of film, because it's also the pace of the film is so rapid. It's so, you never get bored, never.
In my life, the first time it's a film also about how we negotiate relationships and intimacy, and what existential implications that have on, it's like you can hide from the world, but when you meet someone that you're going to get close to, some big questions come up, like in Julie's life. And Renate, maybe you want to talk about that, but I think we talked a lot about Julie meeting herself closer and closer in proximity, the closer she got to the people in her life that she was trying to get close to somehow, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
It's it's touching a lot of themes, but yeah, it's about how also hard it is to be in relation to others, and how hard it is to be in relation to oneself too. And I think she goes through this journey of not being able to accept herself, and having a hard time figuring out what to do, because she searches for what makes us her happy in the wrong places, from the outside in. And then she goes through some really tough, really big like loss. She has some very profound experiences, and that makes her get closer to herself, and then finally get some peace with who she is. And I think that's the happy ending of the movie, that she is with herself, and that she's trying to find something with herself, in a very modern love story, because yeah, in the future she will find someone to be with, but she has to find peace with herself first. And I really love that about the movie.
There is one scene, I mean, I love, of course, most of the scenes in the film, but there is this amazing freeze frame scene in the film where Julie is the only person running in Oslo. And how did you shoot that scene? All of a sudden, it's a very interesting aesthetic proposal, and it works, and it's very, very daring, because it's almost like a contemporary art performance that you would see in a museum. It's part of the film, and it's great how to integrate this dimension to the film. I love that.
It was fun. It was a fun scene to do. I mean, I Isabelle, I still shoot on 35 like we did, and I liked the organic feeling of life and skin tones and everything. So when we had this idea that we would do a romantic scene, almost like a musical scene. I mean, they don't sing and dance, but there's this sense of larger than life extravagance to it. I thought that in a film that's so much about the concept of time, and the sadness of both the pressure of time that Julie feels to accomplish and have success and figure out herself, and on the other hand also the sense of loss of time that we see in the latter part of the film. Yeah, exactly. So in the middle of the film, I thought it was interesting to have this moment where Julie freezes time, and then she's allowed to have an alternative universe where she explores this kind of love affair with the other guy in the story, And I decided early on, I did not want it to be very digital or slick and perfect. It's really people standing around in big parts of Oslo, and the police have stopped the cars outside of the frame, and everyone's planning, like you said, like a choreography to make this happen. And remember, this was last year when everyone had been inside because of COVID, and finally we were allowed to come out and make movies again. And everyone were together, and we were playing music, and then we were like, everyone stand still. And it was almost like a party in the streets of Oslo to make people do this. And the funny thing, when we had shot one of the sequences, suddenly we discovered that people that we had not asked to come had come. Like, people had looked out the window, they run down and they saw the game and they wanted to be a part of it. So it grew, it became bigger.
Did you call the film from the very beginning, Julie, in 12 chapters?
No, that's the French title. In Norwegian, it's called The Worst Person in the World.
The worst person in the world.
Yeah. No, exactly. While in France, it's the Julie en 12 chapitres, which is. But both titles are interesting. I mean, in a way, the English and Norwegian title plays upon the character of Julie feeling like a failure, like, oh, I'm the worst person in the world. You know, it's a more ironic title. But I think Julie in 12 chapters sounds to me almost more like an Eric Romer film, like Les Genoux de Claire, or like the Julie and the chapters.
Yeah, also because a chapter is more close to the literary approach, and
true.
Like a book, and it gives something. But it's an interesting title. But I love The Worst Person in the World, actually. Yes, it's a. And Renate, how did you? Well, it's a question that I'm usually asked, and feel free to not to answer me, because usually I have no really answer for that. But how did you prepare for that role? How did you just think? I think for me, preparing is more thinking, actually. I think thinking is more work, you know. You think, and it's a way of preparing. So I was curious to know how.
Yeah, exactly that. I think Joachim and I, we had some very like big existential conversations about like thematically what the movie was about and the scenes, and like every scene and every moment in the script is also so rich. So it was. I guess I just went over the script and the scenes, both reading it and in my head, to see how much detail and how much nuance and just kind of philosophizing on what it contained and what it could be. And this was, you know, my first lead in a movie, so I was really scared of not doing the script justice and not like doing everything I could to make all this. I thought that the script was so important, and it's about shame and love and loss, and try to be honest with myself and what I felt in content with the script, and just and then I feel that when we're on set, it was more about just the chemistry and the dynamic between the other characters and what happened. So it's like I wasn't there, and this is something that Joachim really pushed too, to like let go of control and just be very present and not deciding on anything, just let things happen. And I guess yeah, and I've seen a lot of your interviews, so I know that you also like this way of working, and I know that when you and Joachim worked together, that's also something you worked on, and I feel I learned so much from working on this movie with you, Joachim, a new way of acting, really. So it was, yeah.
And how was it to work with Anders? Because Joachim and Anders, you did so many movies together, and so did you know each other, Renate, before working with Anders?
No, and I was quite nervous because they have this very close relationship, and yeah, I felt really welcomed by both of them, Joachim and Anders, and really that Anders also said very early, it's hard to know who these characters really are because they're so multi-dimensional. So it's really about the dynamic and what happens between us in the different situations. So we were kind of focusing on that, and we wanted to get to know each other. So we spent a lot of time before shoot to just be safe with each other, because we knew that we were going into some very deep and unsafe places. So we needed to feel safe. And yeah, it was really, he's just incredible. He does something in this movie that is just out of the world. He's amazing.
But I think you were very, very lucky, Renate, because you just said that it was your first lead role on screen, and for the first lead role that role for me was really a gift, because the movie is like an homage to who you are. I mean, I don't know if it's the character, and I don't want to know the character is that close to you, but it's like a portrait. And what can an actress dream better than having a camera close to your face? Your body language also is quite wonderful, I have to say, the way you walk, the way the camera moves around you, and it's extraordinary, because it's, again, that's what any actress can dream of. And I was rewarded by the prize in Cannes also. No, because it's so complete. It's a gift, a role like this, because it's not a role for me. You lose the sense of fiction. It's because you really feel the camera takes what for me is the definition of movie making. You know, again, it's to catch the present time. It's nothing to do with fiction. It's just a certain reality.
It really felt like but also like the way Joachim makes the culture on set, where it's very safe, and I feel everyone is so engaged, and everyone, of course, has a lot of respect for Joachim as a filmmaker and wants to do their best, but it's also like a group of friends doing something fun and important together. So it felt like what you say with movement with the camera, it really felt like I connected with Huppert, who did the cinematography, and like everyone on set was so eager to make like the potential of every scene, like the best potential of every scene. And so it's both of the like the scale, because it's about really preparing and finding all the details, like the body language we talked about very early, and all these details, and how her, even like all her thoughts in every stage of her life and every scene, like what she went through in her body, in her emotions, in her mind, that it was very specific all the time, to also because it's not filmed chronologically, so you have to like know where you are at each moment.
You know, Joachim's films, and especially this one, makes me think of this wonderful line that Maurice Pialat, you know, the great French filmmaker, used to. It's not a very optimistic line, because, as you know, Maurice Pialat was so dark and so pessimistic most of the time. And he kept saying, "Oh my God, the best films, you will never get to see them, because they are before action and after cut." Okay, I said, Maurice, okay. But I met, and I feel like Joachim's film is exactly, it's like you capture these precious moments before action and after cut. And this is where, you know, the fragility of life is there on screen.
And also, like Joachim said before, it's also about the time that he's, you know, very concerned about time, and he gives so much time. Even though we shoot on film, you just let the camera roll, and you could, like, the actors can actually rest in the moment and not think about where the end is, or what we should do. It's about just like being there and taking the stuff that happens from each other, and then that time has a lot to do with that.
Yeah, it's about being and not doing. That's the main thing.
But this is something you two share. Now that I've had the pleasure of working with both of you, I feel that it's a gift for a director to have actors that are willing to let go of the professional intentions, because they are confident enough that they have done the preparation before. And I remember, Isabelle, when we started working together, that's one of the first questions I ask every actor. Is like, do you have a sense of your technique, or how you work, how you'd like to work, what you find challenging? And obviously you, more than any actor I've worked with, have like incredible experience of working with so many directors. And I remember you saying something, which was, I prepare a lot, I'm not scared of being intellectual or analyzing, but then when we shoot, I let it all go and I get lost. And I think that encapsulates what we're talking about and Renate, in a way, this is what we are trying to do together too. And you have that natural, because it needs guts. Like you're in the trailer in the morning and you want to see, oh, how am I gonna get through the day and do my job? But actually you got to forget that you're working. You got to let it go. You got to be free and risk being silly or false or strange or all these things that could come up. But in the case of you too,
you need faith, trust.
Trust, yeah, that it's okay.
Trust, yeah, just trust and sense of freedom too. Because for that you also have to get a sense of your own freedom to do whatever you want, and trust in you, the director, trust in the process of movie making, trust in the, as Renate said, just being and taking what's going on when it happens, the weather, your feeling, whatever, and not trying to repeat something and not trying to do something.
Yeah.
To be a little lazy too, I would say, not to be too active.
Yeah.
I think that's a good place to wrap up. I think like Isabelle's last statement there is perfect. I think we should, but listen, I could go on talking to you guys forever. And Isabelle, I wish I was there tonight to see your wonderful play, but break a leg, as they say in English.
Thank you.
And we'll hopefully see each other in real life very soon again.
Yes, and good luck to
so much.
Renate and Joachim.
Thank you so much.
À bientôt. Au revoir.
Bientôt.